Welcome now. I'm never going to get one of these rates on the first go. Welcome all non-humans and all humans. Welcome back to another episode of Judgemental Readings. Sorry, Wednesday has decided that she wanted to play around with my disguise. No, I got a disguise as a disguise. She's quite entertained because she's never, oh, she did pull it. So she has never seen the wig before. Oh, come. Whoa. She has never seen the wig before, and she's just like, oh, which is good. Keeping Wednesday entertained is always a good thing because she's very loud and very needy for attentions. Anyways, welcome to another episode of Judgemental Readings with your host, Ari, and Cats. Sorry. I have a little bit better idea of how this microphone situation is working. Obviously, I've seen other. Oh shit! I think it is recording on the. I think you're still able to hear it on the microphone. If not, at least you'll just get the recording from the phone. Anyways, I hate re-recording things because I want you to get my natural reaction. None of this shit is pre-planned. Like, this is just me as a scary human being. So, anyways, yes. I don't remember how I ended up deciding that I wanted to get an afro wig. I did end up wearing this for Halloween, but I did not realize how much I would like this. Like, holy smokes, the color is beautiful. It's okay. You'll see my natural hair next time. I did forget. I promised you guys a reveal of the blue hair after the dye. I should have just been like, "This is my hair after the dye," but it's fine. Yes. Well, I can just do a mid part for. I'm having too much fun with this. This is yes. Yeah. No, this is everybody needs an afro. I promise I'm sober. Sometimes I wish I wasn't. Sorry, I booped the microphone. Anyways, let's just jump right in. What is the world? What is life right now? What is the world? What is life? I apologize. All right, we're jumping right in to our favorite book, Kiss of the Basilisk by Lindsay Straub. Can you believe we're only there? We're only there. I think I've been doing this since August. Oh my jeebus. Oh my jeebus. It'll be fine. Just keep me entertained. Give me something to do. Can't have the Wednesday noticing that the disguise is back out. All right. Lost my page. No. I don't even remember what happened in the last chapter. It'll be fine. We'll figure it out. This book is not that complicated. Why you gotta go make things so complicated? I see no way you're acting like you're somebody else. Make me proud. All right. Chapter 8. Huh? All right. Where were we? All right. I think she kissed the prince. Yes. And then she had a date with the prince. All right. I'm so proud of you, my dear. It was the next morning. Tem was barely awake. I'm only the second girl he's taken on a date, Mother. Don't get your hopes up. That's a good thing. It means you have a chance to make a good impression before anyone else does. Tem pushed her eggs around. I hate this book. I'm like so not in the mood to do this. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll be fine. I'll get through this. We'll be fine. Tem pushed her eggs around her plate. She had no idea if she even wanted to make a good impression on Leo. He hadn't exactly made a good impression on her. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. After the last chapter, I was kind of intrigued. Like, I was just like, ooh, and I wanted to like read again. I'm like, I don't know. This is like 1 out of 7 chapters that I was like, oh, entertaining. Like, yeah, sure. Everything else was just kind of like, all right, let's just get cozy. Let's just get cozy and I'll read and I'll pretend that I'm reading. I don't even have to read to the camera anymore because I have my microphone and I can read to the microphone gently caress your ear. I'm sorry I'm waffling so much, as if I don't waffle all the time. All right. Tem pushed her eggs around her plate. She had no idea if she even wanted to make a good impression on Leo. He hadn't exactly made a good impression on her. I'm missing a night of training for this, she grumbled. That doesn't matter, Tem. A date with the prince is far more important. Your training is meant to prepare you for him. There's no point in the training if you don't catch the prince's eye. Tem sighed. She'd caught Leo's eye all right. The events of last night were still a blur to her. She tossed and turned until dawn, replaying her kiss with Leo again and again until she'd memorized every moment of it. She remembered his tongue in her mouth and his hands on her waist. She remembered the way he'd gripped her like she was the very air he breathed. Kissing Leo was different from kissing Caspin. The prince was younger and looser and free, with none of the restrained power of deep, complicated seriousness that radiated off of the Basilisk. None of the depths of character either. You're not tasting wine. But at least the prince wanted to... And I know what it's like to... But at least the prince wanted to fuck her. Tem still couldn't believe she was the only girl who hadn't had sex yet. It seemed like some sort of evil joke, like the universe was conspiring against her. She felt a deep, jagged anger toward Caspin for allowing this to happen. How could he withhold this from her, especially when her very future depended on it? It was unspeakably cruel. Yeah, this is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you, of course. Regardless of how she felt about Caspin, for once in Tem's life, she was looking forward to visiting the bakery. She couldn't wait to see the look on Vera's face now that Tem had a date with the prince. But to her surprise, Vera wasn't there. Instead, Joff, Vera's father, was standing behind the counter. Oh, see, this is the first time we actually get context to Vera. So I guess Vera's dad works at the bakery, so she must, that's why she was at the bakery. Oh, Jesus Christ. Where's Vera? Tem asked. She was eager to rub her new development in her face and didn't like the idea of leaving without doing it. Unlikable main character. Sick, Jeff grunted. Oh, Tem frowned. With what? Jeff shrugged and began counting the eggs. Don't you care about your daughter? Gee. Tem's frown deepened. It wasn't like Vera to miss work. The bakery was her stage. It was where she held court over the entire village, gossiping and passing judgment with little to no regard for consequences. She'd once worked during a snowstorm just because there was a chance the boy she liked might come in to order his favorite pastry. Vera was a force of nature, and Tem couldn't imagine a common cold taking her out. Well, do you know when she'll be back? Tem asked. Joff shook his head. Soon. He'd never been one for extended conversation. Fine, Tem sighed. She'd just have to brag tomorrow. By the time she'd done her rounds with the roosters, it was mid-afternoon, and Tem was starting to get nervous. She had no idea what a date with the prince would entail. Would they be alone? Chaperoned? Would they go somewhere or stay in the castle? She wished the training process had prepared her for dating. She wasn't good at talking to boys, much less a prince. Caspin should have given her a conversations lesson, and add that to the list of things he was failing to teach her. The constant back and forth between, she's like, I don't want to be with Leo. I want to be with Catherine, but it's just, she gets on my everlast nerves. No dress arrived for her this time. Obviously, Catherine is jealous and doesn't actually want her to end up with Leo because she's the special cookie that he's fallen in love with, despite thousands of women that he's trained throughout the millennia and ages, or whatever, however long. She's the special one. Tem didn't know what to think of it. Was Caspin withholding from her because he was angry she had secured a date with the prince? Tem was secretly pleased by the thought. She was not, however, pleased that she had nothing to wear. She was halfway through tearing her room apart in search of something suitable when her mother knocked on the door. Dear, a man is here for you. Tem froze, a heap of underclothing in her arms. A man? She poked her head into the kitchen to see the footman from the other night standing awkwardly in the doorway. Miss, he brandished a package at her. The prince requests you wear this. Tem sighed. Now she understood why there had been no dress from Caspin. Of course, Leo wanted to pick something for her to wear. Just another way to control her, to make sure she knew he was in charge. Tem loathed the thought. She snatched the package from the footman before slamming her door and tossing it onto the bed. Half of her was dying to see what it was. The other half had no intention of wearing it. You will wear it. Tem jumped. It was Caspin's voice. Yay! We activated the vagina jizz claw phone. He'd been absent all day, and he chose now to show up. Tem tried to send him a thought back, but found that she couldn't. Her words pressed up against the same wall that had always stood between them. Instead, she spoke them out loud. Says who? His reply came with humorless rigidity. Says the prince. And you? Do you want me to wear it? But he was gone. Tem stared at the package. With a sigh, she ripped the paper, perhaps more aggressively than necessary, and a dress tumbled into her hands. It was beautiful. There was no doubt about it. Tight and velvet and dangerously low cut. But Tem hated it. Of course she did. It was sexy and revealing and clearly meant for Leo's pleasure alone. Caspin's dresses had complemented her, accentuated her beauty. Leo's dress had a decidedly different purpose, to reveal as much of her body as possible. Tem's ingrained stubbornness balked at the idea of wearing such a dress. All she could think about was how different it was from one Caspin would have chosen. Girl, what would you choose? Like, can you pick a fucking dress for yourself? Like, like, our protagonist just lives for the... I can't. The Caspin... Caspin is a hot monster, which I get. I am a monster lover. Give me a hot monster. The whole, like... oh, he's amazing, and he loves me, and, like, look, he knows exactly what to choose for me, and he cherishes me. Like, girl, I can't. But it didn't matter what Caspin would have chosen. He didn't care about her. He refused to have sex with her. Right, sure. He doesn't want to have sex with you, that's why he doesn't care about you. And he certainly wasn't going on a date with her tonight. There was nothing for it. By the time she'd pulled the dress on, it was time to go. Tem kissed her mother goodbye and bundled into the carriage, her stomach already twisting itself into a knot. She had no idea what to expect, and the long ride to the castle didn't help. All she could think about was Caspin. Why was there a one-way barrier between them? Why wouldn't he let her speak to him? Why did he insist on keeping his distance when all he wanted was to pull him closer? His apathy was infuriating, and she was always thankful that the night's events would provide a welcome distraction from the anxieties eating away at her mind. I just have to remember, this is supposed to be a YA, right? Please. And honestly, even as a YA, this makes me want to cry when it's usually sometimes they'll say, like, the genres. Is it? No genre. This is from Getty Images. Meow, 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 meow. Nope. Does it say in the back? Romance. Ugh. I'm suffering so hard. All right. When the footman dropped her off at the castle entrance, Tem took a deep breath before knocking on the door. To her surprise, Leo opened it. The prince leaned casually against the doorframe, his head cocked to the side as his eyes raked over her body, taking in every detail of her dress. Stunning, he said, as always. Tem crossed her arms. Oh, wait, no, hold on. Stunning, as always. That was awful. I'm sorry, y'all. Listen, if I'm suffering, y'all have to suffer with me. Tem crossed her arms. You picked it out. He cocked his head in the opposite direction. I thought it would suit you. Don't you like it? I like making my own choices. His mouth quirked into a smile. I've offended you already. I'm not offended, just annoyed. Leo extended his hands. Then allow me to make it up to you. Oh my God. I should be murdered. No. Oh, Ariana, you gotta be careful about the stuff you see on the internet. All right. Tem glared at his hand. Then, after a very long moment, she took it. The prince intertwined his fingers with hers, pulling her inside the castle and into a room just off the foyer. It was large and warm, with a crackling fireplace on the far end. Oil paintings lined the wall, and the smell of pipe smoke clung to Tem's nostrils. What is this? Tem whispered. Leo dipped his mouth to her ear. What do you mean? He whispered back. I mean, I thought we were going on a date. Is meeting my family in the parlor not sufficiently romantic for you? Tem took a moment to remember the royal family tree. There was Leo, of course, the son of Maximus the king. His mother had died giving birth to him. He had one sibling, his older sister Lilibet, who was married to Edward Fitzwilliam, a duke of somewhere or another. They had 2 children, Aurora and Desmond. The king's brother, which made him Leo's uncle, was Lord Chamberlain, but Tem couldn't remember his name. You mean Chamberlain? He had no wife, which meant no children. This is like, this little paragraph is like, here's your world building of the royal family. Okay, this is meaningless. Yeah, that's how I feel. Tem said. She had no idea how to respond. Leo chuckled at the look on her face. Dating me isn't like dating some village boy, Tem. All right, let me try that again. Dating me ain't like dating some village boy, Tem. I don't know if I want to continue doing this. Dating me. I've only ever done a really crappy, like, northern British accent for, like, a barmaid. So, bear with me. I cannot pull the London out of me, even if I wanted to. Dating me isn't like dating some village boy, Tom. You're the future queen. That comes with formalities. I'm gonna. Okay. Before Tem could process his use of the present tense, the door opened. So it begins, Leo muttered. Tem! It was Lily. As if, like, girl, you also only met her one evening for like 10 minutes. This isn't your best friend. She was wearing a yellow dress and she looked beautiful as she bounded right up to them and pulled Tem into a tight hug. Then she smacked Leo on the shoulder. I was right, wasn't I? Wasn't I? You like her. He swatted her hand away. That doesn't make you right about everything, he hissed. Just the important things. Leo rolled his eyes. Then his expression sobered and his voice dropped. Is he in a good mood today? Lily pursed her lips before dropping her voice to no. Tem looked between the two of them. Who are you talking about? My father, they said at the same time. As if they had spoken him into existence, a man appeared suddenly at Lily's side. His cold eyes latched immediately onto Tem's before slipping briefly down her body. Ew. Ew, no, we already have enough icky stuff in this book. Now we have to deal with an icky old... I hate it. 0 stars. 0 stars! I'm having way too much fun with this microphone. I apologize to all of you. No, I don't. Okay. Now, for the first time, she had wished Leo had chosen a less revealing dress. It hardly seemed appropriate to meet the king with so much cleavage. Leo spoke before Tem could. Father, this is Temperance. The king's large hands engulfed her, the golden bracelets on his wrist a twin to the one on Leo's. Temperance, he said slowly, and had the distinct feeling he was looking straight into her soul. The chicken farmer's daughter. Chicken shit, girl. She didn't say that. I think she thought it. Maximus's eye slid to Leo. You said she was beautiful. His words hung in the air. They sounded like an accusation. She is, Leo said, his voice hard. If you insist. Tom could feel tears rising and fought to suppress them. Beside her, Leo's entire body was tense. The silence grew slowly contentious as father and son stared at each other, neither of them willing to break. There's absolutely, like, we have no idea what Tem looks like to begin with. So there's no way for us to have, we don't have any reference of comparison. Like, this is literally just, oh, he's being a dick to, we wrote the king as a dick because he is a dick type of thing. But, like, there's no weight behind these things. I feel like there's, like, no weight. This is almost like it should have been a porn. Like, the plot is so loose in a way that it might as well have just been a series of sexy scenes that I'm just not feeling it today. The silence grew slowly contentious as father and son stared at each other, neither of them willing to break it. Tem glanced between them, completely bewildered by the stalemate. There were clearly a deep history here, but Tem had no idea where it originated. Even Lily was uncharacteristically silent, hovering nervously next to Tem and biting her lip. Just when the moment became precarious, Maximus dropped Tem's hand. Before she had a chance to process the interaction, someone else grabbed her. The next few minutes passed in a whirlwind as Tem met person after person, shaking hand after hand. She tried to memorize their names and ranks while keeping everyone's lineage straight, but eventually they blended together. It was like meeting an assortment of sunflowers, all equally beautiful, all with nothing of substance to offer. Sunflowers of substance. At some point, Leo was pulled away by Lord Chamberlain, and Tem found herself in a corner alone. She took the opportunity to survey the crowd. Leo's family was extensive and tall and royal. Also, the repetition. This chapter has so much repetition that's just unnecessary. They carried themselves with unmistakable grace. So, unlike the hunched weariness of the people in the village, everyone in this room was a stranger to manual labor. Their palms were smooth, their fingers dripped with gold. Tem touched the tiny gold claw around her neck. She still wasn't used to wearing something so valuable. She wondered what it had cost Caspin to acquire it. A voice suddenly shattered her thoughts. Temperance? It was the king. Tem shifted uncomfortably, distinctly aware of his disparaging gaze. Your Majesty? She gave an awkward curtsy. It was difficult to move in the dress without exposing an unceremoniously amount of thigh. Thelonious has taken a liking to you. I wish he hadn't, Tem thought violently. Oh, I guess, I wish he hadn't, Tem thought violently. Out loud, she said, It appears that way. Are his feelings reciprocated? She fought the urge to make a face. That's really none of your business, she muttered. He's a girl, you don't... It's the king. You don't talk to the king. You don't talk to the king. Or just... Girl. Manners. Maximus leaned in. I mean, you're not wrong, but he's an asshole. But still. Like, there's like no nuance to this character. Maximus leaned in. He had the same gold incisors as Leo. Incisors! Mind you, I did double check. It is these front teeth. So... Who my son loves is invariably my business. Loves? He can't take his eyes off you. Maybe he needs his eyes checked, Tem said I can't. Do not make light of this. Even now, he watches. Tem scanned the parlor for Leo. He was leaning against the fireplace, whiskey in hand, staring at her with a slight smile on his lips. When their eyes met, he raised his glass in her direction. Maximus's fingers wrapped around Tem's arm, digging painfully into her skin. Everyone has their place, Temperance. Wouldn't you agree? I don't know what you mean. I mean, his fingers tightened, there is a natural order to things. A hierarchy, if you will. Tem scrunched her nose. She didn't like where the conversation was going. We must honor the hierarchy, the king continued. Otherwise, things may become unbalanced. Unbalanced? Yes, unbalanced. He was still holding her arm. Take the basilisks, for example. They provide a service. Their service is beneath us. Their place is beneath us. Yikes. Tem hated the way he was speaking to her, as if he was explaining a simple concept to a small child. Should the snakes ever question their place, the balance may falter. So tell me, Temperance, do you know your place? Tem didn't answer. She was afraid if she did, she might say something rather rude. Girl, too late. I don't know. I mean, I'm all for somebody not playing the game, but like if you're actually trying to get something out of the game, then you gotta play the game. Like you can't, Tem, you can't be this obvious about how much you hate being here. Like it's just not believable. It's just any kind of human development. Like just. Tem didn't answer. She was afraid if she did, she might say something rather rude. It is my son's duty to choose a suitable wife. Maximus's sharp eyes met hers. Are you worthy of that privilege? Tem held his gaze. Your son will be the judge of that. Like, girl, you don't even want to be with this dude. Why you gonna... Ay, esta niña. Esta niña me va a dar una jaqueca. Oh, this is a long dinner. Oh, this is a long dinner. Oh, God, the bad date of her wrong chapter. We might have to break this one up in a couple. I'm trying to keep this thing up because I feel like every time it falls down, you guys probably hear like a... Apparently, my son's judgment is questionable. A thorn of resentment pricked Tem's side. She didn't want Leo, couldn't want him less. But Maximus was insulting her, saying she wasn't good enough for his weasel of a son. And why shouldn't she be? She was just as good as Vera or any other girl. Despite the fact that the world had told her otherwise, Tem tried to quell the anger inside her, but it wouldn't be stopped. She turned to face Maximus. If I wanted your son, I'd have him, she said coldly. Then she wrenched her arm from his grasp and walked straight toward Leo. He raised his eyebrow. Let me guess, he said as she approached her. My father told you you're not worthy of me. How'd you know? To Tem's surprise, a harsh darkness flashed across Leo's face. That's his specialty, I'm afraid. Tem frowned. There was no mistaking the change in his mood. Without thinking, Tem reached for Leo's arm. The moment she touched him, he relaxed, his expression sliding into one of practiced indifference. He downed the rest of his whiskey. Shall we? Shall we? He asked. Shall we what? Get on with our date. Unless you'd prefer we stay here, mingle with my family all evening. Tem would not prefer that. At the expression of her face, Leo laughed. And then he crooked his elbow, clearly indicating he wanted Tem to take it. So she did. Without another word, Leo steered her from the parlor and out to the back patio where a small candlelit table was overlooking the maze. He pulled out one of the chairs, gesturing elegantly for her to sit. After you, he said. Tem sat slowly, watching Leo the entire time. He seemed calm, but there was never a glimmer of rage, there was a glimmer of rage just beneath the surface that Tem had no idea how to address. She decided to break the tension. This is lovely. She waved her hand at the table. You're lovely, Leo said without missing a beat. Tem scoffed. Don't do that. Do what? Compliment me. You're terrible at it. I can't be that bad. You're still here, aren't you? I'm still here because I'm hungry. And it seems like there might be food. Leo smiled. There will most certainly be food. Great. Is that the key then? To what? To you. If I feed you, will I earn your favor? I'm not a horse, Leo. Leo let out a deep laugh. Clearly not. Tem rolled her eyes and promptly changed the subject. Your father seems intense. Leo's laugh turned bitter. That's the kindest way I've ever heard him described. How would you describe him? True, unfiltered pain flashed across Leo's face. He leaned back in his chair, arching his neck to look at the stars. Tem let the silence sit, studying the tight angles of his jaw. Finally, he whispered, Heartless. He dropped the word with such an aching bitterness that a chill shot down Tem's spine. Leo, she said his name softly, in a way she'd never said it before. Leo met her eyes, and for a moment, Tem saw his facade drop. She saw that the cocky prince was only a boy with a strained relationship with his father. She wondered what had happened between them, and if he would ever tell her. Tem wanted to ask more. But Leo gave a dismissive flick of his fingers and said, I don't want to talk about my father. His face slid back into a smirk. It was clear the moment was over. Tem sighed. Then what do you want to talk about? You, of course. What about me? What do you like to do for fun? Tem blinked. She hadn't expected such a casual question from the prince. She didn't really have hobbies, other than chicken shit. At least not like normal people did. The farm took up most of her time, and when she wasn't helping her mother, she was at the Horseman with Gabriel. She decided to simply state the truth. Drink. Leo smiled. Charming. She shrugged. You asked. So I did. He was still looking at her, and she was still looking at him. What's your poison? He questioned. Whatever's cheapest. Yours? Whatever's strongest. Charming. You asked. A butler appeared out of nowhere to place a salad in front of them. Tem placed the same salad in front of Leo, filling their wine glasses, then vanished. He'd established We've established you're not a horse, Leo continued, as if there were no interruptions. But you like spending time outside? Tem considered the question. They were outside right now, and she liked that fine, but she didn't inherently prefer it. Not particularly, Leo cocked his head. Why not? Time spent outside is usually time spent working on the farm. Oh, he said. Of course, the farm. For some reason, it seemed like her answer amused him. Something funny? Tem prompted. Certainly not. He arranged his expression until it resembled neutrality. I just can't picture you on a farm. His eyes went to her breasts. They'd been going there all night, but now they lingered. Surprisingly, Tem shot back, considering you act like a pig. Leo let out another deep laugh. The meaner she was to him, the more he seemed to enjoy himself. Bottom. I can't help it if I like what I say. You're only seeing it because you chose this dress. I thought you'd say you weren't offended, and I thought you said you'd make it up to me. So I did. Leo waved down the butler and whispered something in his ear. Tem ignored him, instead shoving a mouthful of salad in her mouth. It was a fancy thing with feathery greens and a sweet dressing. Nothing like the hearty vegetables they grew on the farm. Even the silverware was gold. A single fork from his table would probably feed a family in the village for a month. The butler reappeared, setting a small velvet box in front of Tem. What's this? She asked. A way to make it up to you, Leo answered. I don't wear jewelry. You're wearing a necklace. She touched the little gold claw, feeling its warmth. This is special. Leo nodded at the box. That could be special too. Tem shook her head. I don't want it. You don't know what it is. It's a bribe, and I don't take bribes. Leo leaned forward. Perhaps you would if it were the right bribe. I don't like this. Tem crossed her arm. You're not used to hearing the word no, are you? Leo leaned back. He smiled. No. They stared at each other, the small velvet box sitting between them. Tem wasn't going to open it. There was nothing he could say to make her do so. If she opened it, it sent the message that she could be swayed by trinkets and gold. If she opened it, he won. She didn't need Leo thinking she was shallow, and she certainly didn't need another necklace. Leo sighed, raising his wine glass to his lips. So difficult to please. What am I going to do with you, Tem? Tem returned her attention to her salad. That's for you to figure out. There were 2 more courses after the salad, a butternut soup with crusty bread and a tender roast. Tem devoured it all. Leo barely ate. He seemed content to drink his wine and watch her. They're vampires! I'm so bored. No doubt he was used to the and I'm cringing at myself every time I'm trying to do this accent. It's the worst. But hey, something. No doubt he was used to the castle food anyway. The meal was a luxury for Tem. For Leo, it was just another dinner. Really? A plain salad, some squash soup, and a roast? That is a luxury? For a castle with, silver and gold plating? Girl. Tell me something. Ugh. I am so sorry. I am so sorry that y'all have to suffer with this. I mean, I feel like sometimes you guys are probably suffering more than me. These are rough. These are rough. Like I said, I'm not doing this for a career. I have some empathy for me, please. Tell me something, Leo said presently. Why are you here? It felt like an echo of what Caspin had said in the caves. You do not seem desperate to be here. Tem was getting a little tired of people questioning her decisions. You told me to be, she said shortly. You make it sound like you didn't have a choice. I didn't. To Tem's surprise, Leo frowned. You always have a choice, Tem. You always have a choice, Tem. She snorted at that. I just need something to be read in Spanish. Do you really think I'd stop you from... Do you really think I'd stop you from leaving? He asked. No, but I want to stay. Why? The words were out before she could stop them. Tem didn't even know why she'd said them. Neither do I. Leo's eyebrows shot upward at her admission. Do you? You won't even accept my gift. She put her fork down. That doesn't mean I don't want to stay, she said quietly. It didn't matter that she didn't want Leo's gift. If she left now, she'd be out of the competition. If she left now, she'd have to go home to her mother, to the farm, to Vera's cruel taunts. She was telling the truth. She wanted to stay. So she might as well make something of it. Tem shifted in her seat, leaning forward so the dress offered a specially flattering view of her cleavage, of her clavage. Leo's jaw tightened at the sudden movement, and she took advantage of his surprise to say, Do you know what else I want? Oh, God! Girl, ain't nobody gonna believe this shit. Leo took far too long to answer. What's that, Tem? An apology. He blinked. For what? For ranking me last during the first elimination. His eyes slowly found their way back up to hers. I thought we were past that. We aren't. Leo sighed, running a hand through his hairs. Through his hairs? Through his hair. I'm sorry I ranked you last. Tem shook her head. Say it like you mean it. He flashed his gold teeth. Is that an order? She held his gaze. Yes. Oh, he totally is a bottom. Masochist. The abject hunger in his eyes was undeniable. He trailed a single finger down the stem of his wine glass, taking his time before answering. Tem, he said quietly, you were the most beautiful girl in the room that night. I never should have ranked you last. It was just another way to lie, and I'm sorry I did it. For the second time tonight, Tem felt a chill. Leo seemed to sense her moment of weakness because that infernal smile spread across his face once more. Do you accept my apology? Yes, Tem grumbled. Good, he smirked. Tem rolled her eyes. Don't give me that look. And what look is that, Tem? Like you just won something. Leo tapped his long fingers nonchalantly on the table, the smirk still twisting his lips. Heaven's eye? Can't you just behave yourself for once? Life's no fun when you behave. Tem had nothing to say to that. The royals make their own rules. She was just about to drown herself in the rest of her wine when she heard it. Help! Tem froze. It was the voice, the same one she'd heard the last time she was at the castle. Her eyes slid to Leo, who was still watching her. Against her better judgment, she asked, Did you hear that? He raised an inquisitive eyebrow. Hear what? Nothing. It was no use. Of course he hadn't heard that. The voice was in her head, the same way Caspin was. But if that was the case, did that mean the voice belonged to a basilisk? She wished suddenly that she could talk to Caspin. He would know the answer. Please, help me. Tem stood abruptly. Leo looked up in surprise, genuine concern flashing across his face. Tem? Is everything all right? She shook her head, trying to clear it. Just too much wine. Leo stood up, offering her his hand. Shall we take a turn around the garden? Tem wrinkled her nose. A turn? Leo grabbed her hand. Just follow me. She allowed Leo to steer her down the patio stairs, noticing how he laced his fingers through hers so she couldn't stop his hand. They entered the garden together, but Tem stopped when they reached the edge of the maze. Leo looked down at her. Scared we'll get lost? No, Tem said automatically. She didn't doubt Leo knew his way around the maze. She only doubted whether he'd let her out once they got in there. Come on in, then. He gave her a condescending wink. Tem let him pull her into the maze. The world went instantly quiet. Even the birds, a sound she'd become accustomed to constantly hearing, were silent within the towering green walls. Leo took the lead, steering them through turn after turn. Tem wondered if he had the maze memorized. Eventually, he broke the silence. So, Tem, he said, do I have a chance with you? Oh God, they're gonna be like, he's the misunderstood lover. Oh, this better not be some kind of like hidden Romania situation. What if this is All right. She looked up at him in shock. It was a bizarre question. The entire training process was designed so that she was the one vying for a chance with him. I don't know. Yes, you do. No, Tom insisted. I don't. It was the truth. Up until an hour ago, she thought there was nothing redeemable about Leo. But he'd revealed his true self when he talked about his father. All 2 lines of it. There was a person under his insufferable exterior, and that person had a chance with her. There is way too many pages in this for there to be that shallow of a character development. Like, seriously? They were stopped on the path. Leo leaned in, his eyes narrowing. I don't believe you. Well, you should. Well, I don't. Your indifference is infuriating. I'm not indifferent. You certainly act like it. That's your interpretation. He snorted. You know, you're the only girl who isn't throwing herself at my fate. Hey guys, we reached page 100. Woo, look at me, jumping for joy. Speaking of page 100. Oh shit, alright, no, I guess we are finishing this chapter today. Reluctantly. All the others had their hand down my trousers the first night they met me. But you, how should I interpret that, Tem? She shrugged stiffly. Interpret it however you like. He leaned in even more. What I would like is for you to tell me how you feel about me. He was far too close for her. But despite his proximity, Tem found she didn't want to lean away. She liked the way he smelled, and she liked the way he was looking at her. Tem wasn't used to men looking at her that way. What about Caspin? Like they wanted her, like she was worth something. The feeling was like a drug. Again, what about Caspin? Didn't we just have this exact same reaction with the fucking Basilisk on the first day that you met him? Girl, if the character development is that this woman grows up and throws both of these douchebags out the window and goes, maybe I am worth something and I do deserve actual love, but not from men, but like from myself. Lily's words ran down through her mind. He always wants what he can't have. Was that the reason Leo was pursuing her? Because she was the... Oh. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Apologies. Ow! It's almost summer. I didn't even have to wear my disguise. It's almost summer. I'm whistling through my nose now. This is bedtime. It's bedtime. I should have just had a warm drink and gone to bed. Meow. Was that the reason Leo was pursuing her? Because she was the only girl whose hands hadn't been down his trousers? It wasn't a good reason. Oh, yeah, no, I guess he is supposed to be English. It wasn't a good reason for Tem. She needed him to want her specifically, and not just because he couldn't have her. So she said, I'm telling you the truth. I don't know how I feel about you yet. Yet? I've known you for 2 weeks, Leo. I wish you had thought about that when you were like, I'm in love with Caspin. Oh my God. I've known you for 2 weeks, Leo. And during those 2 weeks, we've only spent a few hours together. Do you really think that's enough time to form an accurate opinion? Kettle calling the public. Finally, he leaned away, considering her. Well, when you put it that way, perhaps not. Tem rolled her eyes. Exactly. Neither of them spoke as they wound their way through the maze. Eventually, the castle loomed into view. They were nearly on the patio when Leo spoke again. Aren't you curious to know how I feel about you? I think I can guess. Can you? Leo looked down at her. Then by all means, Tem. He splayed his hands upon. Guess. Tem looked up into his gray eyes, deciding how much she wanted to say. It was a delicate subject, and if she didn't tread carefully, she might offend him. Now you worry about offending somebody and about treading carefully before you, told the king to basically fuck off? Then again, nothing seemed to offend Leo. It was almost as if he wanted her insults. He is a bottom, after all. Tem wondered if she was the only person in his life who didn't completely cater to his every wants and needs. If that was the case, it put her in a position of power, and she savored it. I think I confuse you. Leo raised an eyebrow. How so? I think you like me, but you don't know why. You want me, but you wish you didn't. You're used to getting what you want, but part of you likes that you can't get me. His other eyebrow rose. Can't I? No, Tim said firmly. Not until you've earned me. His eyes flicked down her body, then back up again. And you think you're worth earning? Tim held his gaze. You think I'm worth earning? Oh, no. You think I'm worth earning. It's a statement. You think I'm worth earning. He said, the corner of his mouth turned up in amusement. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, and Tem wondered if this was how Leo acted with the other girls. It felt as if they were connecting on an unexpected level. One Tem could never had anticipated, and one she didn't fully understand. It was only when they re-entered the castle that Tem realized the date was about to end. When they reached the foyer, Leo turned to face her. I'm not going to kiss you, he said. Tem was too shocked to react properly. Why not? He stepped closer. Because if I kiss you, I'll try to take you upstairs, and you're not going to let me. Tem opened her mouth, and he kept talking. And you were right. I'm not used to hearing the word no, and I don't want to hear it from you. Certainly not if I had to see you in this dress. He brushed his fingertips along her waist so lightly she almost didn't notice until it was over. All fucking evening. You chose it, she whispered. Apparently I'm partial to torture. There was a pause, and he stepped even closer. I'm not going to kiss you. Instead, I'm going to picture everything I want to do to you without that dress on. And I'm going to pretend that someday you'll let me do it. All right. See? Tiny little things. Every once in a while, there's something good. I was like, oh, that was kind of hot. Honestly, a handful. In the 101 pages that we've read, there's been a handful where I'm like, oh, that was good. That was nice. This could have been a significantly shorter book. More of those, less the other shit. Her throat tightened. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. You were wrong about one thing, though, Leo continued, his voice eerily calm. What's that? Tem managed to say. He took her hand in his, turning it over and pressing his lips to the freckles on her brow. The freckles! He murmured his next words against her skin. I know exactly why I like you. No, I'm not intrigued. I'm not. I was intrigued in the last chapter. And then he disappeared into the parlor. Tem stood alone, her heart thrumming in her chest. There were no words to describe what had just happened. It was as if an invisible thread now connected her to Leo, as if his vulnerability and candor had weakened her defense against him. She couldn't have predicted a single second of this evening, and she had no idea how she felt about anything anymore. Tem was just turning to leave when she heard a voice in the parlor. She froze, her hand on the door. The voice belonged to Maximus. He was speaking in a hushed tone, practically whispering. She paused, listening hard as he said, You're enamored with her. How do you know? You barely spent 10 minutes with us. How do you know? How do you know? You've barely spent 10 minutes with us. I know you, Thelonious. I have seen you like this before. A pause, then Leo said, If you had seen me like this before, then you'd know what I'm going to do. You cannot choose her. And why not? Leo countered, his voice considerably louder. If I can't make my own choice, then what's the point of the elimination process? She's a chicken farmer. So? You're only doing this because you know it will anger me. A pause. Maybe that's part of the fun, Leo said coldly. Tem heard the clink of a glass and wondered if whiskey had been poured. I will not have you repeat the mistakes of your past, Maximus continued. Evelyn was not a mistake. The king let out a dull laugh. You were a fool then, and you're a fool now. Another pause. When Leo spoke, his voice was laced with hate. I let you control me once. I won't let you do it again. We have a reputation to uphold, Thelonious. This is not how things are done. Things are done the way we say they are. Isn't that what you're always telling me? Laws are made to be broken. I won't have a son wed to a chicken farmer. Then you won't have a son. There were footsteps as one of them walked away. Before she could be discovered, Tem walked away too. Woo! That was awful for all of us. I apologize profusely for that chapter, for my horrifically shit-eyed accent. That's supposed to be a weird combination of northern, I don't know what the fuckery. I was bored out of my mind, not feeling it. There was no spice, nothing good, only bad plot. Yay. All right, I will let you go until next time. Gute Nacht. Ciao, 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 ciao.